Hello and welcome to domytriesthis. I hope you brought your cuppa. Today's coffee mug is another one of my mystery mugs. No idea when or where I got it. I've had it for a number of years. It's really a nice mug to have out on a day like today where it's once again wet and gray and cold, and damn, winter just needs to get the frick out of here. It really does. Getting really tired of, yay, 2 or 3 days of sun. Never mind, I'm not here yet. Like I said, I think in another video, I think we're heading into a really wet spring. They have said that we're expecting more hurricanes this year. Anyway, it's a nice mug to have because of the nice flowers and just something to remind me of spring. Today's tea is a honey vanilla chamomile from Celestial Seasonings. It's a new tea to me. I don't generally buy Celestial Seasonings teas. Most of the teas that I find on the shelves from them tend to be teas that I'm used to seeing around, peppermint and, you know, cinnamon and, you know, just common teas that I see a lot. And I tend to look for more unusual teas if I can. But this was a tea I never tried. I have tried some Celestial Seasonings. This is a tea I never tried. And so we're going to give it a try today. It's very light on the honey and the vanilla. I think the chamomile is the strongest flavor in there. But it's good. It's a sweet tea. It's a lighter tea. I don't think it'll become a favorite. Might just give this one to my son, who actually also likes tea, interestingly enough. But it's a decent tea. It's an okay tea. It's just not one I think I would keep in my boxes where I keep my teas that I drink all the time. Still pretty good. Good enough for today. And my curly cues just want to be in the way today. Anyway, or out there. Come back here. Yeah, I woke up with really curly hair this morning, probably because of the humidity mess that's out there right now. Anyway, so today is our second in the Tarts Out, but What's In Foundation series. Last night, I have to say, I kind of figured something out. Someone made a comment about how there are other brands who are not being inclusive as well as Tarte. And she's right, there are. Not buying from most of the high-end brands like that because I don't buy a lot of high-end stuff in terms of foundation and things like that. However, I did pick up on a whim. I noticed CoverGirl, one of the CoverGirl Clean Foundation. This was just their regular clean. It's not their mattifying or their oil one. But I did notice this was under $6, so I just picked it up on a whim. I am wearing it today. I think it's running a little light for me. But when I came home and I went ahead and looked it up, I discovered, strangely, that basically everything that my Walmart had on the shelves for CoverGirl was pretty much the entire line. So I took more looking around, and as it turns out, yes, CoverGirl, Maybelline, a number of them have very limited lines, but at the same time, a number of them have very inclusive lines. And when I say inclusive, I'm saying 25 or 30 shades or more. CoverGirl has the True Blend, L'Oreal has the True Match, Maybelline has Fit Me. They all have expansive lines. They've also all come out with new shades for a number of their lines. Tarte's shades, I went and looked at it today. On average, the half a dozen or so foundations they have run between 12 to maybe 20 colors, 20 shades. The other issue with why I'm doing this is that the foundation that they just came out with, and for some reason it's suddenly escaping me. I had the name. Anyway, it was highly anticipated. They knew, because it was based on the concealer that sells so much, that is everybody's holy grail, that this would be a foundation that people would want, that everybody would want. Light-skinned, medium-skinned, dark-skinned. They knew. They had to know. So they made a deliberate choice to put out 10 shades of beige or lighter and 2 dark shades. And then they made a choice when they brought out their 5 extra colors to not even do that much with those 5 extra colors. So it is still a problem, especially when the rest of their lines, the other lines they have, don't come anywhere close to even this one. So I will be testing foundations that actually have less lines than that. I have a Stylist Stay All Day sample that I purchased, and I will be testing that. I won't be buying it. As far as I know, that has maybe 10 shades. I'd have to look again. But I remember looking at it after the Tarte thing blew up and going, oh, well, I will test it. I will report back on it to you guys. I will not buy it. That's what it comes down to. This one, I am going to finish testing it, but I can already tell you from today's test, I probably wouldn't buy it, even if it was completely inclusive. And one of today's foundations that I have actually is inclusive and is from the same brand. I am going to finish testing this, even though this particular line isn't as inclusive. They do have a line that is. Tarte doesn't. They have one that's getting there, but they haven't expanded that one either. So anyway, let's move on. I didn't want to turn this into a rant video, and this is the second time filming it, and it's turned into a rant video. I think I'm going to stop mentioning the whole why I'm doing this for future videos, because yes, indeed, I've already got more foundations to try out. I've got this one, and I just received this Makeup Forever Ultra HD that I'm going to try. I would like to try the Kat Von D Locket. There are a couple of others that I really, really want to try. I'm really hoping to find a shade in an inclusive line at a drugstore level. And I found one that is okay. But we'll see how that goes. We'll see. We'll have at least one more video coming up in this little mini series of mine. So the first foundation that I'm going to share with you is Cover FX Power Play that I received in this little sample. It has a smell. It's not a very strong smell. It's not very annoying. The consistency is looser than I like. It has this kind of applicator. One of the things that I've noticed on other YouTubers who have reviewed this is that they really hated the packaging. Because if you're going to spend that much on a foundation, you should have some decent packaging to go with it. I kind of agree with that. Anyway, so like I said, it's a little looser than I like, but it applies like a much thicker foundation. And you can see the color is off, but this was a little sample that came either as a point perk or in a box or some kind of little extra. The coverage is medium to full-ish. It does build well. I really like the finish of it. I like the coverage. It's already drying down. It dries down very, very quickly. However, it shows all my texture, and not just in the places where I'm normally used to having my texture show. I am used to having texture show between my brows here. For some reason, this becomes like the Rocky Mountains of texture, and I'm used to having texture showing under my eyes. That has gotten better with some of my skincare. but it still is a problem when it comes to foundations. It also gathered around my nose area in here very, very quickly. It does better when I mix in with my moisturizer that I like to use with my foundations, and that would be the Hello Fab Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer. It did do better when mixed in with this, but not enough for me to want to go out and buy it. This would be the second Cover FX moisturizer that hasn't worked for me. I don't know if I'm inclined to try another one as a result. So next I have the L'Oreal True Match. And this one is actually kind of strange. My understanding is there's supposed to be a pump for it. I believe this is the one that's supposed to be a pump for it, but you have to buy the pump separately. Since I wasn't sure about whether or not I'd like the foundation, I just got the foundation and skipped the pump. I figured if I needed the pump, if I liked it, I could get the pump later. Turns out I don't like it. It is like the Cover FX. It is on the looser side of what I like. It is a bit thicker than that one. A little bit. And like that one, it also applies as a thicker, same as a thicker foundation. It's much looser as you blend it out, but the coverage is much like a thicker foundation. The coverage is around medium. It does build, and the finish actually ends up being kind of dewy, which I don't mind. I actually kind of liked the look. It didn't make me look shiny, but it had a kind of a soft, natural, not quite glowy, but yeah, just a soft, natural, not dry finish to it that I really kind of liked. And I don't feel it on my face. I don't like feeling foundation. I don't like when my face feels the foundation on my face, on my skin. And I don't like feeling foundation when I touch my skin, like with my hand. This one, fortunately, I did not feel on my face. However, I did feel it when I touched my skin. It did emphasize my texture a bit more, and it got worse when I powdered it, and it got worse through the day. So for me, this was not very long wearing, and it is something else that I wouldn't want to wear or keep wearing. So this was another no. So the next one kind of makes me sad. I really like NYX products. I have a lot of NYX products. I have blushes, I have eyeshadows, I have lipsticks, I have lip pencils, I have eye pencils. My favorite primer is from NYX. But their Stay Matte But Not Flat foundation was a mess from the start. It just terrible. I do not recommend this. It is closer to the texture I like. It's on the thicker side. However, this one, like its thinner counterparts, also emphasized my texture. As you can see, that color is way orange. And it's not, it says Stay Matte. My oil broke out on my nose within hours during the winter when my skin is drier than usual. I couldn't even, now mind you, I don't normally wear liquid foundations. During the summer, I tend to wear powders, but I couldn't imagine wearing this in the summer. It's, the oil breakout is just, if it does it that quickly in the winter, in the summer, it wouldn't even take an hour before this would be useless. Also, I could feel it on my skin, on my face. I could feel it when I touched my skin. And it also transferred like crazy. This stuff just does not dry down completely, doesn't stay dried down completely. It does not stay matte. Definitely not a recommend, which really makes me sad. I have a lot of things from NYX that I really, really like. The other foundation that I wear in the summer, the NYX Hydro Touch foundation, was one of the first foundations that I found that matched my skin tone and without being orange. And I really enjoy wearing that in the summer, but this is a no. So the next foundation is the CoverGirl True Blend. And this is actually my one yes in the group so far, and all the foundations I've tried. I went ahead and I originally got the L7, this is the L6. And I had to go in and buy another bottle that was closer to my skin tone at this time. This is a thicker formula. It's not as thick as I like, but it works. It's thick enough. It doesn't drip. It's kind of on the moussey side of a liquid, more, I want it not quite gel, but it is a very nice thick consistency. It's not sliding down my hand. It applies really well. I like how it applies. I like how it covers. It's very smooth. It has a medium coverage that's somewhat buildable. I do end up with, I have a little spot down here that still will end up showing through, but it does cover the discoloration around my nose and under my eyes that my color corrector doesn't always get. It has a nice finish. It looks nice over most of my face. The one con that I had is that it settles in my lines, especially like up in my forehead, but I found a way to work around that. So it's not a perfect foundation because of that, but it still works. I don't feel it on my skin. I don't feel it when I touch it after I powder it. It has to be powdered because it retains a bit of tackiness even once it's dried down. And it works really well with my moisturizer. I can add this in and make sure that my foundation is also giving my skin some of the moisturizer like I like. It's not a perfect fit because of the fact that it shows my lines in places where most other foundations, these failures aside, most other foundations don't seem to have a problem. But like I said, I found a way around that. And basically, if you have, what I have found works for me is with this foundation, with or without the moisturizer, is once I stipple it on and get it blended out the way I want, the best thing for me to do is then to go over it with a sponge. I can do that either before I powder it or after. Either one will help reduce the amount of lines and texture being shown on my forehead or between my nose or wherever I'm having a problem. That's a nice foundation. That's the one foundation that I have been using more consistently lately. The color is a good color match for me. The texture is good. The consistency is good. The final look is good. So not perfect, but close enough that I like it and will continue to purchase it. I might try it in the summer, but I'd have to think about it. I'm really hesitant with my oils and stuff because my T-zone gets really bad in the summer. I can look like I'm not as oily as some, but I still get very, very shiny in my T-zone, and I'm hesitant to mix that oil with anything liquid that could make it look shiny as well. It's one of the reasons why I use powder. And that oil tends to spread. In the winter, it stays pretty localized on my nose, sometimes in here, but towards summer, it'll spread down into my chin, into areas of my forehead and across. The only part that seems to stay anywhere near normal is my cheeks, and even they get a little oilier. I can talk. Instead of being dry, I think they go more to a normal skin tone during the summer. So I'm really hesitant to mix that with anything, but I might try to find a summer shade and see if it's wearable in the summer. If not, I'll just stick with my powder foundation. I'm happy with that. So the last one is the one that I do not have the bottle for. And I got it in my Sephora Play quite a while back. In fact, for a while I was using it merely as a base on my eyes because of my problem eye that likes to lose its eyeshadow. And that is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation. And my understanding is this is actually a foundation that a lot of people are really liking. And I'm interested in enough to maybe buy another bottle or buy a bottle and give it a more long-term tryout than the little sample gave me. It is a looser consistency, way looser consistency than I like. I definitely like a thicker foundation that's not going to run when I put it out somewhere, or a foundation that I feel like my moisturizer isn't going to shear out more or make even looser. For a couple of these, that's not a big deal because this is actually a really thick moisturizer. So for some of those foundations, this actually helps with the consistency. And I think the Makeup Forever is one of those where that helps with the consistency. It has about a medium coverage. I can't remember if it is advertised for full. A lot of these full foundations, full coverage foundations, I don't find to be full coverage, mostly because I have that little dot down here that I can test on. And if I can still see that dot, you're not full coverage. And I think I can still see the dot with the Makeup Forever. So it is a medium coverage, and it doesn't build as well as I would like. It does build a little, but not as well as I would like. It has a really nice finish, and I don't feel it on my skin. It doesn't emphasize my texture. I don't feel it when I touched it. But the more interesting thing about the Makeup Forever is that it stands up to my allergies better than any of the other foundations that I've mentioned, either in this film or in the previous video on foundation hunting. I have to blow my nose a lot. I get weepy eyes a lot because of these allergies. And while, yes, some of the foundation would come off my nose when I blow my nose, if you're going to blow your nose, you're going to lose your foundation. There would still usually be something left. It didn't track the way a lot of foundations do when I got weepy eyes. So I really liked that about it. I really liked the finish. I really liked the fact that my texture wasn't emphasized. I don't like the fact that it doesn't build like I'd like and that it's so loose. But those are things that I think I could learn to be okay with. And that's why I'm considering picking up a bottle to try on a more long term. Because it was a little thing. This is another one I'm going to be trying. This is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Perfector, which is more of a skin tint. And I know this one's not going to be the right color. But it had less, I think that little thing had less in it than this does. So there wasn't a lot of foundation in it to begin with. I initially used it for about a month as a base on my eyes. And then when I started looking for a new foundation, I actually tried it as a foundation. And then I ran out. So yeah, I think I'd like to try it. I'd have to think about it before investing, the 30 some odd dollars into it. I think I want to try the Kat Von D and a couple of others first. But yeah, it wasn't not as good as my CoverGirl. But definitely better than, say, the L'Oreal or the Cover FX at this point. Now that I'm done bumbling about, I swear, one of these days y'all are going to be like, woman, just get it together. I'm trying. I'm trying. Alrighty then. That's it for today. 5 foundations. I've got more coming in the future, and I hope you'll be able to come around to see them. I hope you've liked what you've seen and that you'll go ahead and subscribe. Click the notification bell so you know when I upload. And the next time you come by, don't forget your cup of tea.